Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and once again, I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom for those of you who lived in Japan. Or if I like to call it Metroid 3, because obviously you can tell from the actual intro cutscene if you manage to start the game off or something, so... well, for the most part anyway. So, yeah, last time we actually did somehow manage to able to find ourselves the newest upgrades that we've actually gone through, or specifically the new beam that we've actually gone through, which appears to be by the forms of the grappling beam, which allows me to able to go across certain large chasms throughout the majority of subsections. And on top of all that stuff though, we did somehow beat the next boss somewhere in Norfair. And as a result, it was pretty easy when you get the hang of it though, but relatively speaking though, you have to time your jumps and shots at the same time. So relatively speaking, just to able to knock him back, but overall, he did somehow dies in the end. So yeah, due to the forms that, I would say like an acid or something. Well, mind you about the fact that it's been about 2 days ago since I actually last played this for sure. So anywho, today for this video is the fact that we're about to be able to, I would classify as saying that today for this video is that we're about to be able to actually just hunt down certain items that we haven't gone through throughout the majority of the game so far. Like, for example, that I was originally going to be able to explore for this room, but I think we should probably save that for later, because now that we actually got ourselves not only super missiles, but also power bombs, as well as the forms of the grappling beam, this means we can now able to actually revisit some of these previous areas throughout the game. So this also means is the fact that we can able to expect that we will be able to actually not only trying to get ourselves some more energy tanks if possible, but also with the forms of some more missile expansions and possibly even more expansions in the future. So as a result though, yeah, there's not much else explanation for the sake of the forms of today's video, honestly. So, but hopefully I'll be fast as I can as far as I can usually concerned with this stuff though, especially that relatively speaking, I think that we pretty much almost at the halfway point of the game so far. Well, at least for the most part though, because as far as I'm aware, that we only did somehow, you know, took down one big boss already, but I think there might be still more to come. So I think relatively speaking though, we are slowly maturely, but we almost at the halfway point throughout the game so far. So anyway, so let's just go and continue things on here, and thankfully we can able to regenerate our health thanks to that particular grapple beam right here. So we can able to actually just to go across for certain portions throughout. So we can then potentially try to able to, you know, go to alternative routes if we decide to be able to actually just to go for. And yeah, everything else goes all fine and dandy and everything. So a few things I want to explain while this is going on. Today's date is of course the 7th of December today, in this case in 2022 today. Not only do we get ourselves we got ourselves the actual release date, which is of course that today's day is the fact that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC Wave 3 has recently came out today, according to the forms of this particular timing of this uploading schedule for this point. So as a result though, and for I've tested those courses out on my own time, I had a lot of fun with it, especially noticeable with, of course, Rainbow Road based off of Mario Kart 7, just because obviously that was the best Rainbow Road in the entire series by far. And I'm very glad that that particular track has been returned, but this time in full HD and all that stuff though. And on top of that, also say applies with Maple Treeway as well, from the likes of in Mario Kart Wii. And let's not forget ourselves with the forms of course, Merry Mountain, which I actually really had a huge blast with that track, despite that is obviously based off of Mario Kart Tour. But regardless of such though, is the fact that, well, I might as well say this again anyway, that we potentially have done the halfway point in terms of the booster course pass, for the sake of the forms of, this year. So because of that, we've gone through 3 packs this year. Now we need to wait for the rest of the remainings of those other 3 packs in 2023. So yeah, I told you about the fact that my predictions are correct back in the forms of in sometime in March. just because about the fact the matter is though, I previously say that we'll get the first 3 packs for this year, and then the other 3 for next year in 2023. So, I call it. So, anyway, so another thing I want to point out is the fact that, well, speaking of which though, happy 4th year anniversary of the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch. Despite I haven't gone back into the game after quite a few months now, especially noticeable because the only problem with that is that I've already 100% everything about the, well, I've already 100% everything in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate recently, for about a couple of months ago, by able to actually obtain the last few, spirits, and also say applies with the forms of completing every single character for Classic Mode. The only thing I will not include is, of course, Mob Smash for the sake of the forms of, it's just an optional thing, aside from your curiosity's sake, where it comes to likely for just bragging rights. That was the only, rewards you can get if you managed able to accomplish All-Star Smash Multi-Man or something. Well, mind you, it's been about a few months ago since I actually last played Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, honestly, just because, well, you know what I mean. I recently just somehow managed able to realize that I've decided able to take a break on Sonic Frontiers on not only for the Switch, but also Xbox One versions as well, because obviously as far as what I think I've already mentioned about this, so as a result, that I'm really waiting for is the fact that we can potentially now wait for the DLC to be arriving for the sake of Sonic Frontiers. So I'm very looking forward to see how this is going to turn out, especially noticeable because again, it's roughly about the exactly the same year time as the forms of, well, Mario Plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope DLC roadmap. So, very curious about those 2 games managed able to got themselves DLC roadmaps for next year. So, pretty exciting all things considered, especially, you know, Rayman is finally back after 10 years or so. Well, technically, you can also technically count, you know, with the forms of Rayman Adventures on the iOS phone devices, but I rarely touch the game just because it's an auto-rolling, or auto-running type of game, similar to the forms of Sonic and the Secret Rings, alongside with the forms of Sonic and the Black Knight, and I just really wish that there was a control function for Rayman Adventures, and also it does fill to the brim with microtransactions and stuff like that, at least assuming that's what that is, but at the very least I'm very appreciated able to actually bring Rayman back for the sake of the forms of the final DLC content for, well, Mario Plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. So, anyway, so here we are into this room right here, and I get this strong feeling, okay, so that way we can able to actually get access to this very useful ability, and that's what appears to be the X-ray scope. Despite it's pretty useless, if you're able to actually know the game, you know, all the way around, basically what this does is that this allows you to able to scan certain secrets that you actually never come across into yet. So, for newcomers, I totally get it, but for hardcore gamers though, it might seems kind of pointless, or the most disappointing item throughout the game, at least if you know the actual, the game inside out, for, you know, the actual, the map and everything, alongside with the item locations, but it's nice to have it, I suppose, and especially noticeable about the fact that I think you're gonna have to able to stand completely still in order to able to actually activate or something, although mind you, we've actually got the icon right there on the actual top portion of the screen, so, and I think for the most part, we actually gotten every single of those, specifically those select button upgrades as far as I'm aware, because all he needs now is just, well, pretty much everything else, ranging from missile expansions, as well as energy tanks as well, super missile expansions, and more power bombs, and I did not meant to pause that, because I almost first thought it was gonna go fade to black, if I somehow managed able to pull off a bit of a video editing and stuff like that, but apparently though that it's entirely my fault for able to actually activate certain stuff like this, so anywho, so yeah, what if I look back on the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate after 4 years since when it came out? Well, technically it already did, in Japan anyway, also known as Diet Smash Bros. Special, I think that's what it says anyway. Oh yeah, now I can finally learn the actual, the new wall jump technique. It did took me a couple of tries on my own time on the Super Nintendo Classic Mini, but all you have to do is basically, it's hard to explain really, but I know for the fact that I've seen one of those videos in the past of knowing exactly what you're supposed to do for this entire technique. So, for instance though, as you can tell, we're about to be able to actually go back onto that familiar location since, I would say since the very beginning of the game, perhaps? But either way though, shoot. I just got munched by these little, like, Venus flytrap objects, and there's no way we can get out instantly until the animation ends, or the sprite animation ends for that Venus flytrap, like, you know, dangerous hazards and whatever you want to call them. So yeah, you're probably wondering to yourself about the fact the matter is though, is that how come that, well, do you guys even remember from the likes of in yesterday, that the reason why we managed able to let not only Mighty, but also Ray as well, managed able to decide able to be focusing on Super Mario Bros. 3 for the NES version of that particular Let's Play? Well, the thing is though, as far as what they already said before, that originally though, that Tiana was supposed to be able to continue things on from the likes of the forms of WarioWare Touched, but, you know, as what they say, that particular continuation portion of the game is going to be delayed until specifically in 19th of December, just in case for not only for getting closer to its Christmas time, but also as the fact that she needs to able to work on from, well, not only just trying to able to show off extra content if possible, but also as the fact that as far as which she pretty much said this already, but she's probably going to be able to actually go ahead and trying to get ourselves the actual red rose in every single microgames of how the thing itself offers us to, meaning that she needs to beat every single high scores in every single microgames of WarioWare Touched has to offer. So relatively speaking though, it's just the fact that it might take a bit of quite a few days to do it, especially that as far as what she's already said this before, ever since about almost 2 weeks ago, that basically certain micro games needs to require you to able to get up to 25 points, which is ridiculously large as far as, you know, getting to the actual top record scores. In fact, it's kind of similar structure-wise from the likes of the forms of, you know, back in the forms of been about a year ago, when, oh look at that, we actually at the back at the beginning of the game. To be more specifically, we meet up with the forms of this Samus's ship ever since the very beginning of the game. So let's go ahead and regenerate our health, and also save our progress, and also it actually regenerates not only missile counts, but also super missiles and power bombs too. So pretty cool, huh? And in fact, the matter is though, we're going back into criteria, so pretty cool I might add. So yeah, that was another alternative way you can able to actually go back into like previous sections or something like this, but relatively speaking though, there's not much else I can say about this. So anywho, so yeah, the fact of the matter is though, is the fact that I do apologize for the advance, but please understand, just because about the fact that this entire process is a bit slow for the most part, but we'll promise you guys, we will be back on track onto that specific stuff, mainly the forms of WarioWare Touched Let's Play, because, well, by that time, when that particular Let's Play will be finished by then exponentially we'll move on to the next game in the series, which is of course WarioWare Smooth Moves, and exponentially other games as well. I'm not exactly sure about the forms of WarioWare Gold, because we're still pretty much lacking when it comes to its 3DS capture device. And on top of all that stuff though, most of those micro games come from the previous games, which I know is basically kind of like the equivalent to Mario Party the Top 100 for the 3DS, except the fact that you do have multiple control types within button control scheme, as well as touchscreen controls, and heck, let's not forget ourselves with the forms of gyro sensing controls, like a mixture of both WarioWare Inc. Minigame Mania, and on top of that, WarioWare Twisted, and WarioWare Touched, and maybe a tiny little bit on the likes of Smooth Moves, because Smooth Moves also has motion controls with the forms of the Wii Remote and stuff like that. But I'm sure we'll explain more details about that until whenever we go back onto WarioWare Smooth Moves at some point in the, you know, next year in particular. So, and this is not the way I'm not supposed to go, Because, well, as we said before, that we're about to be heading back onto the previous areas that we haven't exactly been to yet. So as a result, though, that we're definitely gonna have to find most of those collectibles. Sometimes, though, the backtracking aspect is a bit, obnoxious side of things, but when you get the hang of it with the forms of some, advanced techniques, you know, with the forms of that wall jump technique, like I just pulled off from earlier, well, exponentially, you can make the process a bit quicker, but I have no idea where exactly I'm supposed to go sometimes, because, well, thankfully we do have a built-in map though, which makes things a lot handier, but I think where we're supposed to go is that, well, not only do I somehow accidentally just somehow managed able to double check in here, just to make sure if there are some spots I was missing onto, and the fact of the matter is though, it takes me to somewhere right where the Jozo statue was, so whoops. But I highly doubt about the fact that when it comes to the forms of that, you know, with the forms of that, unlike, well, just like in the other Metroid games, that depending on if you managed able to beat the game fast enough, then you would be able to actually get one of the best endings throughout the game. I highly doubt in this game though that I might try my best able to get one of those endings, but it's all depending on the forms of time schedules, because as far as I'm aware, there were a few times though that I will occasionally mess up for certain techniques, or specifically having trouble navigating, but for its time though, I will try my best if I somehow manage able to get the best ending, but if not, then exponentially I'm also able to be a little bit sad for able to actually not get the best ending, but I shall see. We shall see what happens there, so... Alright, so what we're supposed to go is to go to the left right here, because I'm pretty sure it'll take you to the other side of Brimstar. So, I've honestly have no idea why I managed able to double check on the previous section of Brimstar, but either way though, we somehow made it, so yeah, there's not much else explanation for the sake of like something I would like to mention about, but at the very least though, we can able to actually just to, well, you know what I mean, just to continue when we trying to able to go to certain parts throughout, but I've got nothing more to add, so... Oh yeah, and talking of which though actually, is the fact that for those of you who lived in the UK, most likely, that basically, unfortunately though, we're gonna have to able to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Paper Mario Sticker Star for the UK version, despite a lot of people still really hate the game so much because obviously it ruins the classic Paper Mario vibes to it. Especially notable, it's relatively speaking though because of its entirely different gameplay style that most people are really not a huge fan of. Especially, I still have not beat the game for about 10 years later because obviously with all that stupid requirements and also that, well, I highly doubt that it's nothing good that brings me back good old memories with that kind of stuff, so... Oh, by the way, here's another reserve tank as far as we've already got, so that brings us to 2 of these things, so nicely done for the sake of the forms of... Oh, hello there, we got ourselves another missile expansion, but we're not done with this yet because there's actually another item somewhere about roughly here. So in some cases though, we got ourselves another missile expansion, so nice. Oh, and also means is the fact that, remember with the forms of one of those missile expansions I somehow managed able to miss out on? Well, exponentially, since we've now got ourselves our grappling beam, this means we can now able to actually get that missile expansion that I somehow missed out on. So, anyways, let's go and just destroy those enemies here, and we got ourselves the upgraded, well, super missile expansions. So yeah, better late than never, I suppose, we're finally able to actually get ourselves 5 more of those super missiles. So, pretty cool, I might add. So, anyway, so I think that pretty much does it for that room over there. So now let's go ahead and go downwards, just to see if there are some, oh yeah, there is something that might be somewhat useful. Like, use the power bomb in here, and that way we can able to actually go underneath, so we can able to go a little bit more deeper than that. So, that's essentially how this goes as far as exploration goes, you know, so... And I think you can able to actually go back if I want to decided to, But I get the strong feeling that, yeah, this block right there decides to block me, so... Oh well, seems kind of pointless though, but if we go over here, after trying to able to take care of these enemies right here, and in order to defeat them, you have to use the power bombs in order to do it, so that'll be most effective on here. This room seems familiar. Oh, wait a second. Oh, managed to time this well enough. So we got ourselves the energy tank right here, which is like a throwback to the original Metroid, where there was a bottomless trap right there. Like, if you accidentally fell through here, basically though, that you have to make your way back up if you want to try again. So, yeah, I see what this is going, huh? Pretty cool throwback to the original game, I might add. So, anyways, let's go for these little... Oh god, there's so many spikes, well, not only in the ceiling, but also on the floor itself too. But, sure enough, we just somehow managed to ignore that particular part. Oh, speaking of certain stuff though, remember that super, you know, that wall jump technique I just somehow pulled off earlier? This room right there requires you to be able to use the wall jump technique because, well, obviously it's a bit tricky to deal with. But I highly doubt these power bombs will, or the actual morph ball bombs will not help you if you manage to able to go do that stuff. So we'll just go ahead and concentrate around here, and make sure you need to able to let Samus jump like a ball, like a somersault even, so that way it pulls off the actual wall jump technique. So I get the feeling there might be another expansion around here if we somehow manage to able to go for this part right here. So, for instance, if we try to make our way and run up and instantly turn into a morph ball, and from here we get ourselves the another power bomb. So, pretty swell. So, definitely a little bit tricky to pull off for, you know, wall jump techniques, but it might be tricky to master sometimes. But when you execute it really well, then you would do it okay. So it's just the fact that I think sometimes my timing feels a little bit off around here. But when you get the hang of it though, it might not be too bad as far as that's been concerned with. But hey, at least it's something. Even though it's kind of weird that the instructions for the game doesn't even tell you how the wall jump technique works. At least as far as I found out anyway, so a little bit weird I might add, for able to actually not to mention about the forms of that particular technique you can able to pull off and find out for yourself, but exponentially speaking it just feels a little bit tricky to execute sometimes. But that's just me. Oh yeah, I forgot about this room right here, the Super Missile Expansion, which I was expecting to be able to grab it normally, but then I found out that I accidentally fall off from earlier ago, so, whoops. Kind of my fault right there, but that's how trial and error decides to able to come in for a moment. So I think we're basically done with the majority of the actual, this particular portion of Brimstar from now on though. I mean, sure, I might be missing something around here, but I get the feeling, yeah, I'm thinking we actually discover every single, like, parts of the left side, aside from the little M right here, which I'm not exactly sure. Oh yeah, that's a map, I think. So, but for the most part, I think we've almost done with Brimstar. Well, we need to head back onto that familiar location from the likes of in the original game, because remember the forms of that energy tank that we've already spotted? Well, since we're now able to actually access to the high jump boots, so this means we can now able to actually obtain the energy tank with your high jump boots. So, although sometimes getting to that though might take a bit of a while, especially because, well, we need to able to go through a serious amount of... Oh god! I did not notice there was a massive hole we fell down through. And this is where we're able to actually learn the ability to able to actually perform a... Oh, is there... Oh, okay. So we got ourselves a recharge station, energy recharge station right here. That's actually pretty swell. So, yeah, remember the forms of that speed boost jump technique, as we technically already pulled this off, since you know with the forms of the missile expansion that we've actually gotten, well, that's what that area decides to come into play. So, like, basically, it will, this little fellow right there, as we saw, basically it shows you how to able to perform a super boost jump. So, yeah, as far as, you know, I don't know about you, but either way though, let's just go ahead and use the grapple beam so we could able to actually just go ahead and make a leaps of faith in here. And we finally got ourselves a missile expansion for the sake of this spot. So yeah, and there's also another way you can able to do it, but like I said before, you have to pull off a pretty cool wall jump technique, but sometimes it's really hard to execute sometimes, at least as far as I'm usually concerned with that stuff. So, oh, is there a secret right there? Although there is something over there though. In fact, let me just go ahead and double check if what's anything else in here. Although if not, then I'm pretty sure it's like, I don't know, a dead end maybe? Well, I don't know. I haven't exactly checked this by myself, but let me see what really happens if I shoot the... Oh, okay. So at the very least we got ourselves another power bomb, so that'll be pretty cool to able to have another power bomb with us. So, and it seems that we keep on getting a lot of those power bombs recently, as opposed to super missile expansions the least amount of. So pretty strange, doesn't it? So anyway, let's just go ahead and am I supposed to able to... Oh wait. Ah, there we go. See, I love moves to pull off like that, even though I have no idea why I speaking like weird English sometimes. But either way though, it's just the fact that, well, I got nothing more to add. Alright, so let's just go ahead and continue things on here, and just managed able to... Oh yeah, we can now able to actually blow up this door with the power bomb like that. So, nicely done. Oh god, more enemies! And I get the feeling that we do need a grapple beam in order to able to make it up there. So, if I recall correctly, yep, I see that familiar block right there. So we can just... sometimes it's hard to reach this thing sometimes. Oh god, we're going around in a... Oh, wait a second, we do need to shoot that little blue light thingy right there with that security gate or the security door. So, let me just go ahead and try this again, and hopefully I should able to succeed. And there we go. Even though... Oh, wait a minute. At least if I can able to use the wall jump technique, then I would be alright. So... Oh, come on. Come on, you. You can't give up on me. Did I pull this off? Yay! Okay. So at least I somehow managed to pull this off within a cool wall jump technique, so... Hey. So that way, we get ourselves another energy tank. So, nicely done. And I apologize for that particular awkward commentary sometimes, because I get the horrible feeling that once again my laptop just keeps on lagging sometimes, so... Bit of a nuisance, I'm telling you, but I will try to fix that at some point until this Friday coming up, so... Oh, speaking of coming up though, is that tomorrow marks the Game Awards is about to be up, and during at some point until tomorrow night. So, yeah, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What was your exciting moment for the sake of the forms of, what's your predictions, rather, of the Game Awards for this year? I think some people seem to keep on mentioning that maybe, just maybe, the next Crash Bandicoot game will be on its way, like Wumpa League. So as a result, it could be interesting if that particular game will decide to show up in the actual Game Awards for this year. Because I know they already shown us the, well, you know what I mean, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled for the sake of the films of back in 2018 Game Awards, alongside with the films of Joker from Persona 5 joins in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and as a result, I just cannot wait to see how that's going to turn out, so... But we shall see, because there's going to be a lot of predictions out there 24/7, especially considering how the fact that there's going to be a lot of stuff to noticing this from the start, so... But look, we're back in this particular familiar area again since the very beginning of the game. Except, obviously, since we got trapped here, but if we try to able to use the, Oh, there's another power bomb right there. Okay. We keep on getting a lot of these things every nowadays, but I don't mind about it too much. So yeah, that wall right there is explodable with the actual power bombs like that. So, anyways, let's go ahead and turn into a morph ball and to send some bombs right here. And I think it's going to be on the next room, so it's nothing to do with this room potentially, so we'll just continue on to the right. And hopefully we should able to find not only a lot of enemy encounters we're all too familiar with, but also if we somehow manage to shoot at this exact spot, there it is right here, and there we go, we got ourselves the another energy tank. And I think we're actually done with the first row of energy tanks, because now that since that the energy tanks bar is almost going to be filling up, so this means we can probably get another set and join at some point in the later portion of the game, because it kind of reminds me of one of those The Legend of Zelda games, where basically the more you collect those energy tanks, then basically the actual energy tanks will go on to another level, so, or another row of health, as far as I meant to say, because, well, after all, that we actually completely done with the first row, and I believe the more we keep on collecting those energy tanks, well, we can now able to actually increase the other row of health. So, pretty cool, I might say so. Especially noticeable, again, it does remind me of the heart containers from the Legend of Zelda games, basically, so... because that's the way I do like when it comes to both Metroid and Zelda, because those game franchises I always adore, so... despite how tricky they are in the old school games though nowadays, but when the newer games came out, then everyone else gets a lot more hyped for it, so... anyways, there's another missile expansion right there, which is in exactly the same spot as we killed Mother Brain from the likes of the first game. Although, you do need to be able to use, I would say, a power bombs in order to be able to actually access down there. So, relatively speaking though, because there's a lot of secrets you can able to find around here, so... speaking of secrets, there's another secret we can able to go through. And I think if I recall correctly, we do need a speed booster jump technique, which in order to do that, we need to freeze up those weird yellow things right there, which to do that, you have to use the ice beam. The wall jump can technically do it, but I think it's been blocked off by those speed booster icons, if I recall correctly, so... at least as far as I can usually predict anyway, so... anyway, so let's just go ahead and stand right here, and exponentially we'll just freeze up these things right here, and make our way back, and quickly run up, and... booyah! Yeah, because I see that little speed booster icon right there, so... there we go, we got another super missile expansion right here, so not too shabby for the most part. Alright, so we'll use the grappling beam right here to skip all kinds of spikes down there, so at least we avoided those no problem. Alright, so we'll just use the actual the power bombs to able to go through here. But eventually though, until later on though, we can potentially try to able to meet up with probably the coolest returning ability in the game since Metroid 2, until for later, because obviously we don't need to rely on the forms of morph ball bombs until in the future anyway, so... oh shoot, I just realized, I think I was currently missing something, which I do definitely need to head back again, so either way though, well... exponentially speaking though, I don't mind the exploration, so it's just the fact that the amount of backtracking, assuming if you accidentally miss something, can be tedious at times. Well, at least as far as I thought it was, because, well, I keep thinking of Sonic Boom, Shadow Crystal, whenever I was missing something, and basically I have to do a ridiculous amount of backtracking in that game. Well, at least thankfully you can play the game on the go, but still, it just feels kind of a nuisance to me sometimes. But I digress. So, I think for the most part though, it's just the fact the matter is though, is the fact that we're focusing on you know, not only Super Metroid, but also The Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Bros. 3 from now on, though, just because, again, like I said before, the WarioWare touch will eventually come to an end until by getting close to Christmas time, which we'll promise you guys it will happen. It's just that you have to wait patiently for that video to be up. So, I apologize for that in advance, just because about the fact that we still got a whole ways to go. So, before you're able to actually move on to 2023 as well. So, relatively speaking though, there's not much else to say about this, I suppose. But, yeah, I guess there's not much else I can say about this, honestly. Mind you, I'm still very excited able to actually just to, like, you know, finally hit back onto Mario Kart 8 Deluxe again, because, for love of God, Mario Kart Tour decides to drain me a lot, especially notable for not only if it's wasting playtime, but it's also just the fact that it's not that fun to play again for Mario Kart Tour, just because of the awkward controls, and also, it's just, well, I'm not a big fan of the team rally that's been going on for the sake of Peach versus Bowser again for this year. Like, seriously, whoever thought that was a good idea to able to reuse the exact same character team rallies again? I mean, what the heck, man? But anyway, but I really highly doubt, I'm hoping anyway, at some point, mainly in the future, that I'm really hoping that Mario Kart Tour services will eventually be about to shut down until, I don't know, God knows when, just because I don't know. Well, at least the graphics still looks pretty good though for Mario Kart Tour mobile phone game, but it's just controls and the gameplay. Well, it still plays like Mario Kart, and it's, well, it looks like Mario Kart, but the controls and the actual, it's just controls. This just bugs the heck out of me. But anyway, enough about that particular ranting about how bad the controls are for Mario Kart Tour. So we'll just go ahead and play, you know, Super Metroid, which, thankfully, Super Metroid is actually a really, really awesome game to play. Which, as a result, yeah, sometimes that despite the wall jump technique can able to be difficult to pull off, although it will be handy though for certain speedrunners, as you probably already know, because I've seen a lot of those speedruns of this game 24/7 back in the day. Well, mind you, about the fact the matter is though, since a long time ago, that I haven't exactly watched that much Let's Plays of Metroid games as well, a young hedgehog. But as far as I'm aware, because about the fact that maybe because of my games and Mario games are always been my specialty, so. But every nowadays, since I'm now an adult, so this means I'm now into not only the Kirby games, but also Metroid games, The Legend of Zelda games, and so much more. Well, the only time exception is of course Pokemon, because, well, I don't mind. Well, let's just not talk about that right now, just because we are strictly talking about some good old stuff, basically. So, and I'm afraid to tell you for this point, guys, I think I'm basically running out of, news to discuss about, because obviously I already mentioned about the fact that, well, I'm very excited able to finally get back into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe again on my own time, and exponentially, hopefully I'll try to get myself the 3-star ranks again for the likes of not only the Rock Cup, but also the Moon Cup as well, within not only 150cc, but also Mirror, and of course 200cc, which, best of luck for me, because obviously I just love completionist, I suppose, for certain titles anyway. So, anyway, so let's just go ahead and regenerate our health and save our game, and exponentially, I think we should probably end things off at this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Super Metroid. It's the fact that we can now able to continue things off where we left off a familiar ago, and find some more secrets around here. So I'll see you guys until on Friday. Later, fellas.